In this video, I analysed Blitz and Stolas' drunken talk in great detail. This was actually super fun for me. Hope you guys enjoy. Alright, here we are. We've got 3 minutes and 45 seconds to digest, so let's just get straight into it. So as you may be able to tell, this takes place right after the All To You song, which I did analyse. And though Stolas seemed to be agreeing with the overall consensus of the crowd, which was obviously Blitz is an asshole, he walks away now filled with shame and guilt. It's as if he still wasn't fully sure that what he said and was influenced to say by the rest of the crowd was true. He's still at a point of questioning, since obviously his mind wasn't going to change that easily. Therefore now his expression reads, oh no, was that the right decision? Did I say the right thing? Am I really the bad guy? Is it back to square one where he thought he was in the wrong the entire time? And that's why right after this scene he goes for a drink, which I'll get to in a minute. But we can still see at the start of this, Blitz is still upset, and then immediately as I press play, he kind of jumps as he sees Stolas walking off, since obviously he just had that moment where he's heard Stolas singing his heart out, tugging at everyone's heartstrings, including Blitz's unknowingly, and that kind of got Blitz in the feels. He was all worked up and so focused on his own emotions, and trying to repress them obviously, that it took him a moment to notice that Stolas was walking off stage. But now he realizes that he has an opening, and he can tell, like I've said previously, Blitz is observant, that there's something not right with Stolas just based off his face. And he's also thinking, well, he's just had that big emotional moment, he might want someone to talk to. And who better than the guy who he's probably thinking about the most right now, his ex-lover, Blitz. So Blitz is like, yeah, I'm gonna go over there, and then chaos ensues, obviously.
Let's get wild!
You can see there that he looks down as if he's trying to doubt himself. Should I do it? Should I not? And obviously he takes that deep breath, well, half a deep breath, and just goes, hey, it's now or never. Might not have this opportunity for a while. Let's just go do it. Here it is now. It's starting to warm up. The analysis brain is on. First thing that Stolas does, grab a drink. He does it all the time. A prime example of this is near the end of the circus in season 2 episode 1, where Stolas wakes up right after a blackout just after Ozzy's, where he indulged in a lot of alcohol because it's all over him and all over his face, quite frankly, over Blitz, over that trauma, that kind of moment of intense emotion that he didn't want to deal with, so he went, nah, I'll put it to the side and I'll just have a drink for now to cope. That's what many people do, and don't worry, he's not alone, and if you do it at home, you're not alone either. As long as you recognize that it's bad for you, because, you know, some people don't, just like Stolas, then you can eventually, all hope from me, break out of that addiction cycle, that immediate turn to comfort instead of facing your emotions head on. Because that's many reasons why people do it, is to get away from that emotional confrontation. But like I said, you're not alone. We're all losers. You know that from a certain show. So do with that what you please.
Hey. Blitz, what are you doing here?
And the funny thing is, despite the fact that he does this all the time, and every time he has this moment, he immediately goes to the drink, he's so easily drunk, and I know that bottle has vortex on it, which may symbolize that it's bezel juice or something, so it's a lot stronger. But still, though he did drink a lot, it's nowhere near the dosage it'll take for everyone else at the party to get as drunk as he is right now. Let's be honest, that is how it is. He gets drunk so easily. It truly shows how unsociable Stolas has been his entire life, that for one, he doesn't really know how to act at a party, and two, the fact that he can't take the heavier drinks shows that he isn't really used to that party life, which ultimately links back to his upbringing. He was very isolated, he didn't have many friends, he struggled to socialize and connect with others, and in addition to all of that, he struggled to handle his emotions too. He was always told by his father to suppress his emotions, as we see in the circus, where Paimon tells Stolas to cease his bitch crying in quotes, because it was, quotes again, an ugly noise. And his marriage with Stella didn't help either, because as we can see from the exact same episode, Stella would ridicule him for showing emotion, which led to even more repression. And then eventually when he got to Blitz, who was also a very reserved person, brought up in a different environment that made it much more extreme for him, where he could be social and things like that, but he couldn't make connections. You gotta feel bad for Stolas, man. This coping here, it's very messy. But also, there's some Blitz stuff to get to, so don't think that I'm picking sides just yet.
You're lucky everyone is drunk, or you would be murdered right now. Ah, no, it's good. I'm in a disguise.
See how Blitz completely changed when Stolas was using that attitude with him. He obviously doesn't mean that. He's just more loose because of the drink. But then Blitz takes advantage of that and uses it as a way to get his mask back on. Since Stolas is less aware, he's just like, be playful. But then Stolas is like, boom, brings him over. And then, as Blitz begins talking again, he remembers why he was here and how he opened this conversation, which was in a saddened emotional mood, and he recedes back into that, which isn't really receding, is it? It's more extruding, seeing as it's a new thing to him. He's not used to being emotional, so yeah, he's doing the opposite of that. He tries to recede recede back into his mask now, back into that shell, that turtle shell, but then eventually comes back out of it through being like, hey, why am I here? I'm here to talk to Stolas because I'm very emotional and my mind is racing about him. I need to let him know how I feel. And that's why I really love this show. They have all these little conflicts with the characters' emotions that are very subtle, but when in a big overarching analysis setting where you're analyzing every single frame or every single little bit, little segment, things like that, you notice these small things. And it's those finer details that make this show so amazing. Every single time you find something different that you didn't notice previously. So as I say all the time, congratulations to the animators, the writers, the team. You're amazing. And I'll say it this early in the video. You guys are absolute inspirations. And I'm not just saying that. I'm genuinely passionate about Helverboss, despite the fact that I don't even work on it. I'm passionate about all the things that I talk about because guess what? I'm having fun too because I'm passionate about my content, which makes me passionate about everything that I cover in the content. So yeah, this recording analysis setting makes me appreciate the show even more because I'm noticing all these details. And because I'm in a positive environment right now, because I obviously enjoy recording, I'm very positive about the show. I'm saying things that I hadn't previously mentioned to my friends when I first asked them, hey, how'd you like the episode? And then when they asked me, I just like, yeah, it was good. I never mentioned all this other stuff. And this is just why I love making these videos. They allow us all to appreciate the material that we consume and how much effort goes into it. So thank you guys. Thank you to the team for this amazing show. And of course, a lot of gratitude coming from me to you guys in the audience watching this video because I wouldn't be here without you. Anyway, enough of that. Back to the episode analysis. Now we get this little walking sequence where Blitz is obviously trying to stay hidden because, you know, he's a wreck. People do not want to see him right now. They're all just there kind of doing what they're doing, indulging the fact that they hate Blitz, which is quite toxic, but I explained that in another video, so you can go watch that if you would like. And then you got Stolas being an absolute drunken idiot in the back, but I do have to show appreciation in a minute because I won't do it just yet. I just did it a second ago. To Bryce Pinkham for these amazing Stolas lines that you can hear in a minute.
Wow. I've never seen you throw him back like this.
Even Blitz notices that he's never seen Stolas like this before. This has hurt him so much. This is probably the most hurt that he's ever felt in his life. The one person who he found that he connected with, that he loved, he genuinely loved, even though he didn't say it, he loved. Now that's presumably out the window. He's completely a wreck. He just doesn't know what to do, and that's why he resorts to this immediately. Because it's new territory for him. He's not used to it, which is completely fine because many of us would do the same. We go straight to comfort when we're in uncomfortable situations, in scenarios that are very alien to us. That's just the same with any being, fact or fictional. Anything with a consciousness is bound to feel these type of emotions at a certain point, unless they're cold-blooded, so just ignore that. And coping mechanisms are widely popular, even across nature. If you accidentally step on a rat's tail, where's it gonna go? It's gonna scurry off back to its home. In similar vein, if you step on a dog's tail, sorry to say that, it's a bit distressing, but anyway, if it was to happen, they would run straight to their owner or wherever they feel safe. Comfort and coping mechanisms are everywhere throughout nature. Don't think that you're the only one to do it, especially not in your own species, because we do it so much that there's an entire term for it. It's all good. You're not alone.
Came just to judge me, is that it?
No, I just...
So Stolas' immediate thought, even though he's drunk and he's in all this different feels right now, that Blitz is there to judge him and argue, which we know obviously he clearly isn't, but that just shows how much he's hurt people, that their immediate reaction, their immediate thought is that. Blitz coming to this party is the best thing for him to do, because he can see how he's affected people, how he's hurt them, and that ultimately leads to him fully wanting a change in himself. So it could be said that Stolas' comments and all these people around are essential. There's little building blocks that all build up over time, over this episode, and arrive in full force in the form of a realization that leads to him wanting to change himself and become better. Because he sees what better is, he sees what Stolas wants. With that imp later on, there's so many different things that intertwine together with it. So all these things that each connotate to this party in general are what lead to that realization. So overall, this party is what changed Blitz. The one thing that it stood for, that it was meant to celebrate, which was the hating of Blitz because he's a bad person, is ultimately the environment, the thing that allowed him to sit back and think, hey, I need to do something. Something needs to happen because I don't want to be like this. Like he says, not forever. So this party overall is the best thing for him. Isn't that great? Isn't that a great way to put it? It's such a more positive way to look at this party. Despite all the negatives that it has and all the things that I mentioned in my Verostica video, there's still the undeniable fact that parts of it led up to Blitz wanting a change. So that is great. And it's also great writing, which, you know what? No more simping. Come on, Cryptid. You can get your head in the game, man.
This was the final stop on the apology tour I've been on today. Oh, yes, I recall. Everyone but me is getting your cheap apologies tonight.
Cheap apologies. Obviously, Stolas knows Blitz's first instinct when it comes to an apology, which is to shout, scream, and take the absolute piss. So he's not having any of it. He immediately walks off. He's not interested because he's coping right now. I'm having a good time coping. Tomorrow it'll hurt like hell and all the thoughts will come back to me and I'll indulge again and it'll just be an endless cycle, blah, blah, blah. All that addiction stuff, which is horrible, but it has to be skimmed over because it's a bigger, more broader topic that I can't explain right now. And also the fact that I'm not fully educated on it, so I don't really want to make any false claims. But at this point, Stolas is indulging and he just says, hey, basically, through his actions, of course, because the only words that come out of his mouth are an insult, so take with that what you will. He's saying, leave me alone, I just want to indulge and forget all this ever happened and just chill. Which, though, is a kind of valid thing to do, the way in which he's doing it is not ideal. I'm forgetting it as well. I mean, I guess calming down will be the only good thing about this is chilling. Chilling's a good way to do it. Just chill, calm down, cool off, and make sure you're all settled before tackling the hard bit. So in the healthiest way that you can, obviously that's not always available. Sometimes the only thing that you can turn to are those drinks, those horrible habits. But if you possibly could, try and chill off in a healthy way. That's always the greatest thing. But if you really need to, whatever cools you down and allows you to chill, to get into the right headspace, so you can then tackle those negative thoughts, that's great. Just calm down. Come on, guys. Just calm down. Deep breaths.
Well,
You certainly have your work cut out for you.
look, how I acted this morning, it was fucked.
Like, you can see here that Stolas keeps going for drinks. It's as if he can't stop. Every time he sees some alcohol, he's just taking it every single time. Obviously, as we know, it's a way to cope. Since a situation like this is quite new to him, it's very unfamiliar. Because he's never really fell in love with someone or felt the feeling of rejection. And now that he feels it, he feels the emotion of missing someone so much that you love so dearly and in that particular way. Obviously, he'll miss Octavia, but he misses Blitz in a different way because he loved him as a partner. And the realm of heartbreak is completely uncharted territory for him. And that's why he's turning to all these drinks, because he doesn't really know how to handle it. And I've said that previously, I'm pretty sure, from my memory. But hey, if I have to keep repeating things, that just shows how good the writers are at keeping continuity. But yeah, as we can see, Stolas is just indulging in all this stuff to get away from his problems. And you know what? I can't blame him for it, as I've said for the past I don't know how many minutes. But the sad thing is, Blitz is trying to apologize. He's doing his best to try and get to Stolas and say, hey, I'm sorry, please. I just want to apologize, sit down, have a chat. But Stolas is so out of it because of all this stuff that's going on in his head and how disconnected from reality he is right now. He's not in the mood to talk, especially after that song that's kind of got him torn. He just doesn't want to deal with the emotions or thoughts. So instead of making a rational decision on whether Blitz is good or bad or a bit of both, he's just like, hey, this party's about hating Blitz. I might as well just hate Blitz while I'm here because it'll get me out of all the drama. Just hate Blitz because everyone else hates Blitz. So I can escape from all those negative feelings for one night. Until I have to do it again tomorrow and the day after, until I finally decide I'm going to sit down and listen to my thoughts and try and get through them in a rational sense. But that's not happening yet, is it? Though it is really sad to see Blitz trying. He is trying, he wants something to change. And he is getting a bit desperate now, isn't he? Because like I said, you've seen the emotion that it's given him, that song. It gave Stolas these mixed emotions, and then through those lyrics, Blitz got those, he received those while listening to the song, and it gave him emotion, and those emotions he was like, I have these emotions, and I just need to get them out, and who can I trust? Really, right now, who can I kind of trust? And he's like, Stolas, because Stolas has been essentially the entire reason why Blitz is here right now on the apology tour. So that's why when he sees him walking off, he's like, I'm gonna go talk to him, man. I need to say something. But it's really upsetting to see him just getting rejected and ignored over and over again, even though he is trying to make a change. Maybe not fully right now. Maybe he's still torn between the two decisions. But like I said in my Veronica video, he definitely realizes at the end that he does want to change, that he can change. Because everyone else is trying to change, why can't he? Honestly, looking at these scenes and how they build up to the final one with Veronica and how it leads to everything else happening after that, and especially to look back in retrospect after the new episodes come out, it's amazing to see how the writers have built this up, even in a couple of minutes, which this is minutes between this speech and the final speech with Veronica and Blitz. Yet there's so much development and change that still makes sense continuity-wise. It does make sense in the story, which is great. That's what's really good about this show and its writers. And I did see the other day, I'll link this up in the card right right now, a podcast interview with Viv, and she said that she's got way more writers on the show now, like big head lead writer, director guys, I don't know, big writers, people who make a lot of good decisions, big decisions for the show. So that just means that since this is a 4-season set show, that the next 2 seasons after season 2 are going to be banging, because they have way more writers on the scripts now, so everything will make even more sense. And then hopefully all those people out there criticizing the show right now, saying continuity is not right, blah blah blah, and obviously I don't see that because I'm very positive, but though people think that, I'm hoping that that can all be eliminated, or at least it is ignored right now. But anything that you can do to try and help it, despite the fact it's not important, the criticism is important, but like the negativity isn't. But anyway, you could try and help that and alleviate that without much effort, you know, little effort to kind of make that negative side of the community a little lighter, a little less negative, you know what I mean? It's always great if it's at a little cost, and it probably is, because it enhances the show, makes it better. And a side product of that, which is obviously not the full reason as to why they got more writers, it was for the first reason, it'll hopefully cease some of the negativity surrounding it. So that's a really big thing that you want to look forward to, isn't it?
This morning? Oh, why did you show up?
Can I just say, you didn't really hear much of it when I pressed play then, but the sips that Bryce Pinkham does, why are they so effective though? Why are they so good? Bryce Pinkham is honestly amazing, and the drunk Stolas voice, I want to get onto this now. He's so good at playing a drunk. Like, acting is one thing, acting's great, but the next level is acting as a character under certain conditions, such as alcohol, drugs, people who can act without taking, maybe he took a bit of alcohol for the shoot, or for the recording, but either way, you can still emulate that drunken voice through a character as well, when you're playing a character with a certain voice and a certain accent, and you can add that on top of that. I mean, I don't know if he was drunk in the booth, like I said, but either way, it's still really good acting. And obviously, that doesn't disregard Brandon. Brandon's amazing all the time, and honestly, to see Blitz have emotion, in my opinion, Brandon did it great, since he knows Blitz so well. He literally says that if he relates to his characters most, I'm pretty sure, he said Blitz, which is that's a phenomenal thing, like an actor who literally loves the character that they play. They're a writer on the show. Isn't that just so cool? But yeah, I think that Brandon's way of portraying a Blitz, an emotional Blitz, is really well done, especially because he knows the character so well and all that stuff. He has an idea in his head of how Blitz will sound not trying to be, but being emotional. And I tell you what, as you can tell here, he does a great job of it, like I said, so huge props to those two. They work together so well, don't they? Anyway, back to the analyzing.
Why'd you show up here? You already asked that, but look, I just really need to talk to you,
And here's the thing in the animation and just the mannerisms of Stolas in general. Being drunk, he's not really in the right headspace, like I said, so he's quite touchy in a weird way, even though he doesn't like Blitz, and he's saying like, why did you come here? The show still recognizes that he's in that weird sleepy state and shows that perfectly on screen, since he's leaning on Blitz in quite a babyish manner, talking to him in the same vein, like a baby. He has a bit of a babyish voice going on there, another thing that Bryce did really well. But also the way that Blitz is kind of looking up and down a lot, he's moving, his eye movements are very all over the place. That more or less shows that he wants to change the topic, he kind of wants to get onto the apology, he's trying to move the things along, but he knows that he has to be slow, seeing as he's been drunk before and he's seen people drunk for his entire life. He knows how people act, especially people who take this much, though really he's still caught off guard by the fact that Stolas is this drunk because he's never seen him in this state. And though that did come as a surprise to him, one sad thing that I consider is the fact that he knows how to deal with it. His entire life has been around these types of people, this lifestyle of just getting drunk and forgetting things, and things go wrong, just indulge in whatever, take a drink. People say that now in real life. Just drink a beer and forget about it. Oh, hey mate, you want a beer? You know, you're having a bad time, you're getting a divorce, just take one of them. It's a great portrayal of the real world. It's a very relatable thing to many people. And though drinking itself isn't inherently bad, though it is kind of undeniable that it's bad for you in very high volumes, people still enjoy it. Just like, you know, Pepsi's bad for you, other things, sugar and stuff, that's all bad for you in a regular dose even, that's kind of still bad for you. You could do without sugar a lot of the time, or at least without artificial sugar. But when it's used in this manner for this reason, like I've said before, that's the disconnect from regular old healthy drinking for pleasure and this unhealthy, crippling obsession of, and I quote, a very popular quote, drinking to forget. So there it is. Helluva Boss, the indie adult animation TV show, giving us some relatable portrayals of realism before the release of GTA 6. There it is. I'm throwing a meme in there to make it more lighthearted. And actually, it already is lighthearted, to be fair. It's quite a great achievement.
To explain, I've always been real
we see there Blitz's sigh of kind of a bit of frustration because he wants to move on to this topic, but Stolas is just like, ugh. Since Blitz is here and he's like, this is my chance to apologize, this is my opportunity. But then Stolas is kind of ruining it for him since he's in this state. But who got him into that state? Blitz, you kind of pushed him there, let's be honest, buddy. But as I've said before, and I'll say every time I talk about Stolitz, no one's in the right and no one's in the wrong. You can't say that either one is in the right or the wrong because it's none and all. If you want an explanation on what I mean, you can go and check my other analysis, but I'm sure that you can kind of pick that up already. So yeah, Blitz is trying to seize this opportunity, but Stolas' state isn't really accommodating to Blitz's presence right now. But as I said, it is kind of Blitz's fault. Also a bit of Rosca's because obviously he's just done that song and he's like all these different mixes of emotions. So you could say that it's Rosca's fault, but it's also Vortex's and the crowd. Everyone who told him to do that song kind of attributed to it, but overall it is just Blitz in general that might have got him. Well, yeah, it would have pushed him here. It's just that All To You, the song, was the final straw, the one that broke the camel's back. The final push there, off that cliff into the depths of alcohol land. So yeah, Blitz, I can see your pain. I understand where you're coming from because you are wanting to change, but Stolas doesn't know that. Also, he's drunk, so he'll not really understand that if you try to tell him anyway. Though I do really applaud Blitz, even if he's not being very observant right now, not being like, okay, we should do this another time, he is still persevering. Though this is the one time that I would say perseverance isn't really the best option, since you could probably just leave him at this point, or try and give him a ride home. That would probably be something you could do, because what he really needs to do is sleep on it, and then leave him the next day as well, because he'll be hungover. And then fingers crossed that he doesn't indulge again that night, and then the day after, you can then go and see him and say, hey, I want to apologize, you know, to actually do it this time, Blitz, not like this morning where you screwed up so hard because you were like, the gayest thing. No, we're not doing that. Though back to serious critical analysis mode, it is really unfortunate for both characters, but the portrayal of it is honestly amazing. Another thing that could kind of connotate towards Blitz's growly sigh there is the idea that he's kind of having an inner conflict trying to get these emotions out, but also his mind is saying, no, repress those emotions. And the fact there was a bit of growliness in that sigh kind of shows that he wants to say this thing, and he's already torn, seeing as what I said before, the first reason, but he's also not so used to being so emotive and getting his emotions and feelings out in a very calm sense. He's used to just shouting and degrading and going for the ego, right for the throat. This is such an unfamiliar world to him, so they're both in an unfamiliar world right now. They're kind of similar in very strange ways. Stolas has never experienced heartbreak, and Blitz has never experienced the push to be emotive. Well, obviously he probably has done previously, but each and every time he let his mind win and repress his emotions instead of listening to his gut and his heart, which were both saying in unison, do it, be emotive, express your emotions, tell him how you feel. But each and every time he was listening to his brain, which was obviously saying, don't do it, repress, be horrible, scream at him, shout at him, any way to get rid of him, cause as much damage as possible. But now he's fighting off that urge. He's like, no, I have the willpower to do what's best for me. I know that my heart knows the way.
Shit at sorries, okay? They're for pussies, and no one fucking deserves them anyway, but
Stolas really makes this scene, doesn't he? Because we can see Blitz trying to open up and trying to get through this conflict, but it adds a bit of comedy to it. Since Stolas is just being drunk going, no. Literally Blitz in episode 8 of season 1. Not interested at all, or pretending to not be interested. Well, yeah, no, not interested genuinely now, because obviously when you get drunk, you're not really interested in anything. But if this was sober Stolas and he was trying to do this, there'd be a reason behind that, and that's because he's pretending to not be interested in talking to Blitz. But because obviously he's drunk, he is genuinely just not interested in anything, quite frankly. He just wants to drink. And obviously I bring this up as a quite light-hearted thing, but it is a really deep subject, which I obviously went over before anyway. But just to let you know, just a bit of clarity there, so none of y'all are mistaken or read me wrong. But it's all good if you do, and I will say at this part of the video, I think this is around the time that I should say this, but if you disagree with any of my points, please let me know in the comments. Just please try and be civil about it in any way that you can. Just saying, hey, I disagree with this is what I actually think, this is my opinion, and then I'll probably end up replying to you saying, yep, that's really great. And actually, I'll make this point now. Someone told me the other day that my responses sound AI generated. Trust me, they're not. I'm just trying to use different words, because sometimes comments get boring if I'm like, cool, epic, amazing several times. So I'll be there on thesaurus.com, like different word for intriguing, just to make it seem more personal, because it really is. I'm putting that extra effort in to make a personalized, non-copy pasted message. And I do just generally sound AI generated a lot of the time. I don't know why.
I felt like maybe you actually needed one.
See how hard that was for Blitz to say. He's just there looking again, trying to divert his attention, his eyes, from making eye contact with Stolas. It'd be even worse if he was sober, to be fair, because Blitz would know that he's going to remember everything that he says. Right now, it's more of kind of, it's like a therapy session, but you're talking to a semi-sentient doll. Like, the doll's got a sense of sentience, and that's just making it basically drunk like Stolas is right now, and it won't remember what you tell it, but it is something that exists that you can tell it to. So yeah, maybe this conversation will alleviate some of the pain for Blitz and some of that struggle to make that change in his personality, in his life, and have that realization, seeing as he spoke to a sentient being about it, one that he's very close to and cares for a lot. But there is that little sprinkle there of the fact that he's drunk, he probably won't remember it, so it's more alleviating for him. It's kind of easier, it makes it an ease to do, just to get that bit of weight off his shoulders.
Oh, lucky me.
Oh, shit. Okay, what I mean is...
It's just so unfortunate that Stolas had to indulge in this to get away. There was no other way for him to cope. It's so upsetting for both characters. Stolas has tried his best, yeah, he's made some mistakes, but they were noticed in a previous video of mine. And Blitz here is working just as hard. He's trying his best. He might not have been doing before because he was so misled, and the person who he was at the time was so unaware, but now he is becoming more aware. Each and every moment, he's getting closer and closer to that realization that he has near the end of the episode. He's trying his best right now. He's trying to fight those demons, in a metaphorical sense, obviously, to say what he truly wants to say, to show Stolas how he truly feels. There's so much conflict going on in Blitz right now, and honestly, I applaud him for how much effort he's putting in, that he's trying. And he feels so rejected after this when Stolas goes off with that guy, that when he sees Veronica, he puts that mask back on and starts screaming at her again, because that's the most comfortable that he is. That's where he's most comfortable, is with that mask on, that annoying, quote-unquote, confident facade, which at the end of the day, without self-love and without self-confidence, there is no confidence. And Blitz holds no self-love nor any self-confidence, therefore, the confidence that is radiated off of him is just off the mask. It's fake confidence. Just like the mask is, it's fake. So everything that comes from the mask is also fake. A lot of the opinions, the views, a lot of the stuff that comes from it just isn't real. It doesn't have any value. But at this point, he really is letting that mask slip, and he's allowing it to. And the mask is trying to climb its way back onto his face, but he's not letting it happen because he's in Stolas' presence. It's only when he leaves and he's back on the apology tour, because he connotates Veronica, that speech with Veronica, as just something on the apology tour. Something that he has to do, just like the cherubs, just like the agents, all of them. Every person who he's quote-unquote apologized to today, Veronica is seen as just as important as them. No more, no less. But it's only when they have that talk and he realizes how much Veronica's changed and how she's become a better person, she's trying to help others despite the flaws in her operation, that's when he realizes, hey, Veronica is more than just something on the list, an enemy, because she's not an enemy, is she? She's something way different, someone who loved him and genuinely wants the best for him. So yeah, I applaud Blitz completely here, despite the fact that this entire time he hasn't tried to change once. But hey, best place to start is the present, right? You can't just go back in time or go into the future and start then. You can only begin something when you have the opportunity to do that, to make that decision. That's always in the present. You can make decisions for the future in the present, but you can't go to the future and make a decision, then go back to the present. So though he has done some bad things and he has been a shitty person in the past, I can kind of excuse it right now because I'm explaining and celebrating the great things that he's doing in the present moment, which is what is ultimately important.
He said sorry a lot today, and honestly, didn't really mean any of it, because the only one I wanted to say it to was you.
And there it is, he looks away as well. The body language there is great storytelling, because he's so not confident about saying this, but you see in a minute how much it hits Stolas, even through that drunken facade, the mask that the alcohol constructs over him. This statement goes straight through, straight into the conscious mind, the aware conscious mind of Stolas, all the way through that alcohol layer, just like an ozone layer or an atmospheric layer on the earth. The earth is the conscious mind, and the atmosphere there is the mask that's put on by the alcohol. And the sunlight is Blitz's hard-hitting statement, and it goes straight through. The atmosphere could not catch it. It was so powerful, and it went straight there, and it hit the earth, and it hit that spot in his brain, and genuinely made him concerned. We'll see this now. Completely and utterly sober, just for that 1 second. God, this is great. It's so good. These two really complex characters are being portrayed so well in this scene. Honestly, dude, round of applause.
Thing we had going. I mean, you're a fucking prince. How could you ever actually care for an imp?
Obviously, there is that theory that Blitz had a previous Goetia or higher up royal blue blood partner in the past. But aside from that theory stuff, what we know is concrete is that something in his past has caused him to think like this. Whether it's his upbringing, especially his father, who says that they're rich Fs and he's got to steal from them, as we see in the circus. There's also the thought that they are lesser in Hell's hierarchy, and they're brought up thinking that, growing up with that mindset that they are the worst of the worst, the bottom of the barrel, that no one wants them and no one could learn to love them at all. That they can only marry their own kind and can only be loved by their own kind. That is probably what led Blitz to think that beings like Veronica and Stolas couldn't love him, because they were so much higher in the hierarchy. Therefore, therefore he was insignificant, worthless, and didn't matter. And the whole thing that he's had with Stolas, that he's always viewed as an arrangement, has always been told by Stolas, to be fair, as an argument for what Stolas did wrong. Stolas told him that it was an arrangement this whole time and always called him and teased him for being an imp. And though he himself probably thought it was light-hearted, it's still undeniable that he probably should have been more observant and saw that Blitz didn't take very well to it. But then again, the mask that he puts on doesn't show any fear, pain, or regret. That's all seen outside of it. He tries to be strong for everyone, to make people think of him as this amazing, cool guy who can't be affected. But really, that's not true. So yes, Stolas should have been more observant and stopped making the imp jokes and stopped being very deprecating. But also, Blitz's mask made it very hard for people to notice. Another thing on Stolas' end, at the start of the episode when they have that argument, he has this line where he goes, "When did I ever?" He shouldn't have said that. I know it was heated in the moment, which is probably why he said it, so therefore it could be kind of excused. But it's also an invalid argument that would have got in Blitz's head, because he would remember that argument and think, was he giving me signs this entire time that I didn't notice? You always need to watch what you're saying, even in heated discussions and arguments, since you could always say something that would stick with a person, and even though you didn't mean it like that, you were just saying it out of anger or fear or nervousness. If they take that to heart and overthink and overanalyze it in their heads, you could have given them a really bad complex. So you should always watch what you're saying. Definitely. Though I do feel for both of them. They've got their own crap going on in their heads, but hey, who the hell doesn't?
Me. How could anybody?
Blitz.
And there it is. He changes it from royals and all these big people not being able to love an imp to not being able to love him, because he's not worth loving. But then here, Drunken Stolas has a really good argument, which we'll get to, which kind of lightens the mood, but still, Blitz is... the way that he thinks about himself, you can tell. You can see through that mask now. Obviously, it's not there as much, at least. No feeling of self-worth and no self-love, which therefore means he has no real confidence, in my opinion. Confidence itself is derived from a feeling of self-love and self-confidence. And then, through those two factors, they radiate off of you because they become a part of your personality, that you love yourself and you have a lot of confidence in yourself, and that's what creates the confidence that we see as true confidence. Fake confidence would be what Blitz has. He wants everyone to think that he's confident, and therefore puts on this mask to appear that way. But if you're literally attempting to harness the power of confidence, that clearly shows that the confidence you're going to get from it isn't going to be real, because you're doing it for the wrong reasons, you're using it in the wrong way. That version of confidence that Blitz is seeking for is found through a different way, through having self-confidence, which then radiates off into that kind of confidence. And it's also a more tame way to do it, because if you have nothing to hide and you're being genuine, that confidence will be a lot nicer, if that makes sense. You'll be a kind of person because you'll love yourself and you'll want people to love you, and therefore, if you treat yourself with love, you'll treat everyone else with love, which is what's amazing. So yes, Blitz is kind of torn. I've been saying this the entire time, but the point still stands, doesn't it?
There is a crowd full of people here who cared so much they throw an entire fucking party about hating you.
There we go. Stolas has a really valid point. Hey buddy, wake up, bucko. Everyone here is trying to cope with what you did because they cared about you. People can care for you. It doesn't matter if they're an imp, a succubus, a royal, anything else above or below that. They can still care for you. And here's a prime example. That's why it's great that Blitz came here. I said that previously. This party was the ideal thing for Blitz. It was the best thing for him because it showed him how many people truly cared for him. And that leads him to think, these people could care for me, therefore more people out there could also care for me. But I've seen this now. I've noticed the ways that my actions in the present right now and in the past have affected these people, and I can look back on that and think, what did I do wrong? Is there anything that I could do for next time to try and improve myself? Next time I find someone who cares or could seem to care about me, could I treat them differently so that if anything was to happen in the future, maybe I break up with someone, maybe I don't break up with someone, maybe I stay with them to keep them staying for longer and for as long as we're compatible, what there can I change? And then he can reflect on it and become a better person through those past experiences, because we can only learn through experience a lot of the time. It's like children. If you tell them not to swing on the chair, they're probably not going to believe you until they swing too far back and fall off and then realize, ouch, that hurts, not going to do that again. A lot of the time we don't want to listen to people's advice or caution and then end up doing it ourselves anyway, and then through negative experience or positive experience we learn not to do it again. Like I said, it could also be positive. If you try something out and you really enjoy it, that's something that you experience, such as maybe skiing or something. Maybe you go skiing on a vacation one time, then you come home and say, I want to go back there, I want to go and ski, maybe I get skiing lessons or something like that. The best way for a conscious being to learn is through experience, and it's through those experiences and sometimes traumas that we can break out and become better and understand ourselves more. So yeah, I don't really know what we were talking about, I kind of lost track there, but yeah, good stuff.
Every year. Do you know how much you have to care to do something as stupid as that?
Alright, Stolas, relax now, buddy, but it is true, isn't it? I won't go over this right now, but I did in my Verostica video. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of care to set up this entire party. And really, though it can be a way for people to get closure, that might not always be the right way for some people. Some people might need to improve themselves to have closure. To be able to move on from that, they might have to act on it in a different way instead of just going and throwing darts at a fake cardboard cutout. Like I said, it could still work for some people. It may be a therapeutic thing, but it is quite temporary. A long-term way to do this is to slowly improve over time, and you might feel that pain for a longer period of time, but it's nowhere near as many times if you added up all the short bursts of times that you would have in between these moments. You know, if you would do something more quick, a more quick burst of dopamine, though that would be quicker and feel better in the moment, the thoughts would come back a lot faster, and if you kept doing that for long term, it wouldn't really be very sufficient. But if you chose to deal with the pain for a longer period and sit with it and slowly improve, the dopamine would build up over time, and then you'd have a constant stream of it that's just very subtle but just enough, and eventually at the end of it you'll feel like a better person, you'll have a lot more love for yourself, and you won't really have those thoughts anymore, and whenever they come back you'll be a lot stronger and have a lot more clarity and be able to deal with them a lot more rationally. So really, an ideal way of closure that I would say is more generic, but it is kind of the right way. People don't really think of it as a generic correct way, but really it is. But sufficing for an exponential climb instead of a bunch of spikes, which you don't want to just go up and go straight back down. You'd rather rise slowly but then stay there for a long period of time. That's what leads me to think that it's the ideal option. Anyway, really great stuff here in this scene.
Bliss, you are better off without me, okay? You deserve so much. I don't even know why you would want to be with me.
See all that emotion in that. You could hear all that emotion from Blitz. He was about to cry at some point in that. And then you see Stolas with his hands over his face, which I could analyze, but since he's more drunk right now, I'm not really analyzing the real Stolas. It's more this masked Stolas that's just kind of doing things. I could say a lot of things about his actions right now, but they're so sporadic that it is more or less just the drink, the alcohol getting to him. But Blitz, seeing as he's sober, there's a lot to say about him because he's genuinely ripping his heart out and diminishing this giant ego that he has. The ego that's only goal is to make itself bigger by destroying other people's ego. He's turning his back on it. He's backstabbing himself and saying, no, you've been stealing power from others for too long. I'm going to destroy this ego right now. I'm not going to listen to you. I'm just going to disregard everything you're saying and completely destroy you. Just ignore you. Don't even pay attention to you. And that is the worst thing for an ego. When an ego doesn't get any attention, when it doesn't get what he wants, it'll eventually just crack and diminish. And all you got left then is your genuine true self a lot of the time, unless there are some other things that are kind of interfering with it, other emotions. But the ego is usually the big thing there that distracts people because it makes them think that they're amazing and nothing can affect them. And when it does, it really hits that ego as well when they do get affected by their emotions. And that's why being emotional is a great way to destroy it as well. Ignoring it and being emotional, going against everything that an ego stands for, is the best way to get rid of it. And Blitz is doing an amazing job right now of that. Honestly, Blitz, you're a legend, man. You are a legend in the making. You're not quite there yet, but you are going to get there at some point, and I do believe in you, and I trust that you will get there soon. Love you, dude. Great scene. Let's keep going.
You want to know what I want? I want to know what it's like to not be alone.
And now you're saying, hey Cryptid, didn't you say that drunk people are bad? Wait, what? Didn't you say that Stolas is drunk so he doesn't have many genuine emotions or feelings? Well, my dear viewer, if you could try and recall anything in your mind relating to drinking, you might come across this one phrase that is quite common amongst many different cultures, and that is that drinking makes you emotional and loosens you up. Maybe you might have heard that before. So yes, that is exactly what it does. So though the movements are over-exaggerated, the thoughts and feelings and what I can really take from is the things that he says. His words are the most powerful at the moment because his actions are more exaggerated versions of what he's actually thinking, but his words are literally coming straight from his head out of his mouth. And that's why you hear so many stories of people confessing their love to people when they're drunk, because your mind is so loose it thinks there's no consequences. There is no shame there when you're drunk. It's just, I'll do it. That's why drunk people do stupid things such as drive, but that's an entire other ordeal that isn't really that funny, is it? But we're gonna drive away from that negativity and go back to this positivity, which is, I'll be honest, pretty negative in itself.
I want to be someone's someone.
He's seeing how people are getting along, and obviously Blitz hasn't seen this yet. I said that when he was looking around, he was seeing how people were bonding over their hate for him, but right now he's got his head down. Not his head in his hands, but he kind of does at some points. He's very much down in the dumps, looking at his feet, trying to distract himself from the environment around him, trying to stay hidden. He's not really noticing his surroundings, but Stolas is. Stolas sees all these people having fun with each other, and he wants to be like them. He wants to bond with someone. He wants to have that connection, but he struggles so much to find that. And really, at the end of the day, this is what he's saying. That's all he wants. He just wants people to care. He wants people to want him, which I think is literally a quote that he says in about 2 seconds time that I've just remembered from the trailer. But it's really upsetting for Stolas though, isn't it? His execution is questionable and honestly absolutely horrible, if I'm being honest. Same with Blitz's, but their intentions are so much different from their actions. Their actions read so much different to the way that they're thinking and trying to execute it. Their motives and the way that they act on those motives to get there are completely different on a moral standpoint. And that's the one thing that they need to try and harness. It's that positive thought pattern and that ability to grow and achieve their goals with the thought of knowing that it will take time and a lot of patience. And also, the same mindset that came up with that conclusion, the thought that they need to stay calm and not react so fiercely when things don't go their way. Because they both do it, don't they? They both kind of freak out at some points. Blitz just does it a lot more, seeing as his childhood is obviously a little bit different to Stolas's, seeing as he is a lower class. Stolas never really had friends, never really had people who cared for him. He was quite neglected, whereas Blitz wasn't neglected, but he did have people who cared, but he couldn't accept that they did care, and he was also quite sociable. So there is a disconnect there, but still they end up in the same room together with similar conflicts.
I want to feel wanted, but like in a romantic way. Like I'm standing out in the rain at a train station and someone is shouting, "Harriet, don't get on that train. It's going to London and I cannot be without you."
So you can see here that Blitz completely covers himself up because this is more of a comedy bit. Also, here's another reason why people need to cope a different way with their emotions. But that's for them to find out later down the line. But Stolas is saying that he wants to feel wanted. That's ultimately how he feels, which makes me think that he might be going after Blitz for different reasons. Maybe he just wants anyone to want him, anyone to care. And that's why when this guy shows up in a minute, he's so keen to interact and take him up on that offer because he's never been approached in that manner before. So it is really unfortunate for him, and I do feel super bad, but also I can't ignore the fact that these motives might be one of the only reasons. There's a chance that they are the only reasons why he still pursues Blitz. He might think that he loves him, but there's a chance that he just genuinely doesn't. The show could literally go in that direction and it would still make sense. That he just wanted to be loved by anyone and he's only chasing Blitz because Blitz is the only one who's in his life. He's too afraid to go find other people, other friends to talk to, other people to bond and connect with. It might just be the fact that Blitz showed up on his doorstep. He didn't chase Blitz. He didn't go after Blitz and say, "Blitz, we haven't seen each other for 25 years. Blitz showed up first for a different reason that he doesn't know, but still. Maybe it's as simple as that. Maybe Stolas clutched onto the fact that Blitz showed up for me first. He wanted me. He was the one who made the first move. So there's no way that he could just go against it now. But hey, newsflash to you, buddy. It's unfortunately how it could have been if Blitz didn't care. Obviously he does, but that's a really flawed mentality to have if Blitz did just want it for the sex and for the arrangement. So obviously Stolas, I can't really tell you this right now, buddy, but don't clutch onto that. If you're someone out there who might be similar to Stolas, who kind of clutches onto things like, they reached out to me, so they want me, they care for me. That's not always the case, unfortunately. So just don't clutch onto that if you can, and I wish you the best.
Oh, Stolas, that's a rom-com.
Oh, fuck you. The point is, I just want someone to care. If I stay or go, I want someone to want
And also
me.
the fact he repeats lines similar to what he said in When I See Him in Full Moon. But then there's also that keyword of I want someone to care. It doesn't matter who it is. So that leads me to think that there might be some ulterior motive here, that he could just literally, like he does in a minute, be out looking for anyone. And he only clutched onto Blitz because, like I said, Blitz came first. Oh no. Cryptid. He was the one who approached Stolas first. And that's why when this demon approaches him in a minute, his immediate thought is, oh, you complimented me, you came up to me and you wanted to say that out of the kindness of your own heart, and then he's right on it, super interested in everything. But is it true? I mean, arguably not.
To want to see me, to hold me, look at me and think, well, you're the only one I want.
As Stolas says, to look at me, to say you're the only one that I want, Blitz looks at him in that way. He looks at him in love and wonder with those sparkling eyes of emotion at this fully vulnerable, complete wreck of a being. And he looks at him in wonder and love and goes, he really does care. And Stolas is freaking out and he's getting really upset and saying that all he wants to do is just be loved. And that's kind of what everyone wants a lot of the time. Many people just want to be cared for and loved. There are some exceptions, but even if it's just platonic, platonic, a lot of people still want that love. And to see Stolas be so vulnerable and open about it and downright just call out the audience and say something that's so relatable, things that a lot of people have in their heads at all times, or most of the time. Some people who might be going through a rough patch might have this thought in their head all the time. And then to see a character like this opening up, completely pouring their heart out, saying how they feel, that can make them feel really recognized. And that's why I absolutely love this show. The writers, Viv, everyone. I've seen this on so many different forums or chat rooms. People who connect with this show on a very personal level because of how relatable it is to them and makes them feel validated. The fact that something like this media, fictional media, has the ability to, one, allow people to understand where they're going wrong in life and try and change things, and the hope that they can change through other characters when they start to change. They'll be like, well, I can change as well. If he could change and he's done all these things, despite the fact that he's fictional, I can still change in this real world. The second thing is the fact that it can resonate with people who've gone through terrible, traumatic experiences and make their thoughts, experiences, and feelings feel validated. That they are a real, recognized issue. The emotions are valid, and the experience is a valid thing to have these emotions about. It's so unbelievably powerful. Great job, guys. Honestly.
I desire to hold you and talk to you, never let you feel so.
So there he's just explaining more about what he wants. He just wants someone to say, essentially, that they love him and care for him and want the best for him and will help him through that. He may be saying a lot of things here that may be hard to understand all at once, but ultimately they can all be boiled down to three things: love, care, and comfort. If someone can bring that to the table, they can love him, they can care for him, and they can be comfortable around him, and he can be comfortable around them. That is all he wants, and quite frankly, that's what most people really want. Whether it's a friend, a family member, or a partner, someone out there, regardless of whether it's platonic or romantic, it doesn't matter. All that really matters is that it's a loving and caring and comfortable environment. So yeah, Stolas' feelings are validated, and so are yours if you feel the same. But it's just the way in which he'll get that. Will he suffice for only Blitz? Does he love Blitz genuinely as a partner in that way? Or will he suffice for just a regular Joe? I mean, we may never know. Or maybe we will. Only time will tell. All we can do right now is just theorize. Did you hear the lyric then of that song in the background? Blitz is genuinely contemplating on whether to comfort Stolas or not. Is this the right time? Should I do this? He's having that inner conflict. He's constantly going back and forth, back and forth. You can see that conflict. It's so amazingly done in the animation and the mannerisms of the character. But it just says so much about Blitz, how he's trying to push himself out of that comfort zone without his comfort mask on. He may do things that are out of his base comfort zone already, but he has that mask on, and that mask just shields him from anything. For example, in this state now, he might not want to go skiing in fear of getting hurt, but he puts that mask on and then he can go skiing whenever he wants. The fake confidence makes him a daredevil, but when that mask is gone, when it slips, it's when it all comes back to him. And everything that he's done, even with the mask on, just infects his mind and makes him feel like crap. So it really is not a good payoff at all. And also the fact that he just doesn't really enjoy it when he has the mask on. He thinks he does, and then he sits there and goes, I didn't even enjoy that skiing adventure because I wasn't fully present. But yeah, back to the lyric. What did the lyric say? It said, don't touch the pretty thing. Dude, that's so good, is it not? Those little touches is what makes Helluva Boss so great and unique. It's as if the world itself is trying to tell us and show through that Stolas is precious and shouldn't be touched. That Blitz, as he is too dirty, too broken and clumsy to interact with such a delicate figure. But it could also symbolize his inner conflict. Maybe that don't touch the pretty thing line could be exactly what his mental state is saying, just in a different manner. In his head, he could be saying, don't touch him, come on, don't. Just put that mask back on and be that Blitz. Be the Blitz that's most comfortable for you. Don't be your true self, be the Blitz that you built yourself up to be. So that little soundbite symbolizes those two things, especially that inner conflict in his mind. That could be the most probable answer, in my opinion. Great.
Why are you here? I don't want you here. Go home, please. Let me not feel so sad.
Against it. And he's trying so hard. And you can see he reaches for Stolas once again. But he himself, Bird Boy, he's an absolute wreck. Let's be honest, he's not getting out of this any better off, apart from the fact that he's just cried the hell out of himself. While on Earth, weirdly enough. He didn't comfort him. His mind won and he just receded back, ever so slightly. If you hear the music there, it says you couldn't handle me. It's as if Blitz has so much baggage already from himself and his own problems that he can't afford to take on Stolas's emotions and feelings. He's not in a place right now where he is the best version of himself, and therefore he doesn't have the capacity, and especially the fact that this is probably the most emotional he's been in front of another person or another being. He's not prepared, he's not ready yet. This is just step one to his elaborate journey of changing himself and becoming the best person of himself that he can be. It's not going to be that simple. He understands that he's not ready yet, and that's why when this guy comes over now, Blitz just lets it happen. And then, though he gets triggered when they start making out, through Veroska's help, he calms back down and says, well, I let it happen. I'm just going to keep letting it happen, because it's not harming him. He's just trying to get through the night unscathed, any way that he can. Escape those thoughts for one night, just let it happen. He's already drunk, there's not much else you could do. You've done your best. Right now, this is the best that Blitz could do. He's doing so well right now, I'm so proud of him. I'm always proud of both of them every time that they make a step forward to improvement. I'm proud of them both, though there are still some underlying negatives. But right now, Blitz is genuinely just trying his best for the best intentions. He's doing what he can, and though the inner conflict is sometimes winning, sometimes he is pushing past it and doing the things that he wouldn't normally do. Breaking free from those chains, those restrictions. Great job, man. Great job, Blitz. We love you. And Stolas, I've had enough talking about you, mate. I talked about you all last time, all the time before. I love Stolas as well. But right now, obviously, he's drunk, and I'm just kind of analysing the way that he thinks and how he truly feels, and not really the way that his conscious self and his very sober self deals with situations, which is what you would want to analyse usually anyway.
Hey.
Oh, hello.
Completely caught off guard, just saying. Just like, oh, okay, wait, what? You're hit? Wait, why?
Song earlier. You have great pipes.
Thank you.
Yeah, he sings fantastic. We're talking here.
You could see how his little smile went up then when he heard he's like, thank you. Aw. And then Blitz obviously trying to deflect it because he's getting a little bit jealous. But he does eventually just let it happen. So that is a great step there, isn't it? Though that guy could have been anyone with any intentions, but Blitz is still on the defensive right now for the wrong reasons. Not for those reasons in particular, more or less. Stolas is mine. He's my Stolas. Which is quite cute, actually.
Well, I just wanted to see if maybe, I don't know.
Just a little thing there. Blitz looks at him as if to weigh him up, be like, is he good enough? Oh god, he's kind of hot.
You'd want to dance?
You want...
Look at his face, he's not hiding it anymore. But that guy, he's so infatuated with looking at Stolas and trying to win him over. He doesn't know, that's Blitz right, that's Blitz, man. One thing I can say about this guy is he's very goal-driven.
Dance? With me?
Yeah.
You can see the shock there in his 4 eyes. Absolutely flabbergasted, and Blitz is kind of saying, no, I don't want you to do this, but he's not outright saying no, because he knows that it's probably better, because he doesn't really like himself right now. Well, he doesn't love himself anyway, since he says, how can anyone love him? So he sees now that he doesn't want Stolas to leave, and he's trying to get that through in his emotions and his facial expressions, but really, deep down he knows, and kind of in his conscious mind right now, he knows that he doesn't love himself. And it is really sad, but ultimately, though it's through a very morbid and honestly depressing way, the fact that he thinks that he's not good enough, so he's just gonna let Stolas go off with this guy who seems better, it still results in a positive outcome, because Stolas has a good time, that guy has a good time, and then Blitz has this moment of realization, just goes, hey, I'm just gonna say good for him. So maybe, though this was done for complete wrong reasons, and he views himself so lowly at this point, it was because of the fact that he views himself so low, that it led to that learning moment later on down the line, later on in this episode. So really, it's a win. It's a very confusing one, but I still applaud him for it. And Stolas, have fun, dude. Have the fun that you deserve.
Okay.
See, he wipes it off then, and he's like, okay, I'll do it. That's just that little bit of joy. He probably wouldn't have left if he was sober, but all he wants to do right now is have a good time and forget about the negatives, and Blitz was bringing those back by talking about the situation and attempting to apologize. It was a great thing for him, and Blitz was in the right there, but because of the circumstances and where Stolas was and the reasons behind why he's doing this and why he's in this situation, that's what caused it a bit of downfall there. But obviously, it doesn't downplay the fact that he has come out of his comfort zone a little bit, so there that is. Left alone, he is saddened, and then he sees Veroska ready to ascend up those stairs, and that leads to my other analysis. If you want to go watch that, you can. If you've already watched it, thank you, I appreciate you.
Oh, Charlie. Wait,
Charlie? Whatever. Guess I'll just cook up some good old jambalaya. Oh, how I can't wait to unwind. Wait, where are the shrimp? So I'm going to end this video off here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Click the video on screen, the best it's you. The one on the right was people YouTube just for you, and the one on the left, that is my most recent video. Like my little jazzy bit there, locally. Yeah, that's pretty good, wasn't it? Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Stay positive. Goodbye.